Look into the camera.
Hello. Look into the camera.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. We
Okay,
are
looking back
live.
down.
We are live. All right, Savvy, you can take us out because I'm going to go into the Twitterverse and let everybody know that we are live. And I apologize for my
Hello.
audio. First thing,
Yeah,
still working
his
on it.
audio is sucky right now, but that's okay because it does not define his wisdom.
Ha! Ha! I think it does. I think it does.
Okay, today on Table Talk RPG, we apologize coming 15 minutes late, but that's okay. You will notice that Axio looks a lot different today. That's because it's not Axio.
Yeah, looks
It
more
is
handsome now.
Level Up Larian, also known as Knight in our server. He is a beloved player of games, and he tell us like a couple things about yourself and where people can find you.
Yeah, that was a great introduction already.
Thanks.
Level Up Larian, formerly known as Knight of Swords. You can find me on Twitch at Level Up Larian. Um, yeah, and like you said, like brand new player. Well, not brand new anymore, but I guess
Oh, I said beloved player of
beloved.
games.
Yeah, I guess beloved player of tabletop RPGs at the moment, and that's kind of where this journey has taken me, and I am here with you, and I'm excited to talk about this topic.
All
Yes.
right.
Oh, and what is our topic,
Okay,
Ghost?
so topic for today. So we are. I think we're gonna go back. I'm gonna go back a little bit. So
That's
the
fine.
server on Discord, by the way, join the server. It's down
Roll for
below.
gaming.
Yeah, Roll for Gaming. We're kind of a new server. We've been around for a couple of months, I would say. Maybe farther than that. I don't know. I joined a couple of months ago, and I realized there's some cool people in the server. But as more players join, we there were I noticed that although I don't have a lot of experience, I have a couple of years of experience. There were newer players joining the server each and every so often. So we've played with them. They're awesome people, but now some of them have decided to step up, to the GM role, the game master, right? Because we always need more game masters. Players,
Always.
we can sneeze players. Game masters we cannot. So, and I think game masters are are very few. Not few. I think there's a lot of, depending who you ask. There's a lot more game masters than players out there. It just depends who you ask. But yeah, it's because it requires certain things to be able to be a game master, or at least people think so. I don't know. So what we're gonna do in talk, we're just gonna talk. We're gonna ramble. We're probably gonna go off topic. We're probably gonna go on tangents. Larian, if you've probably seen some of our videos, then we're gonna go off topic because that's how we do. That's how we roll. But we have a very specific one because we want to help GMs. Oh, but why do you want to help new GMs? Because you don't know anything. I was like, of course I don't. I just play and I run and that's it. And I think to me, experience is the best medicine for this kind of thing. So the more you run games, the better you get at it. Now, what kind of games to run? Now that is the question, right? That is the question. So for our guest, we're gonna ask you some questions. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Put you on the spot.
All right,
Um,
I'm ready.
uh, yeah, and again, I apologize for my audio. I'm trying to fix it, but what can you do? All right. So, and first question that I have for you: How many, how much experience do you have in tabletop RPGs?
Well, I started in December with Savvy when she opened up Witchcraft and Wizardry,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that was December or maybe late November.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that began my kind of tabletop journey. Before that, I did when I was much younger and took a very long break from it. But when I was younger, I did some like RPG online kind of stuff, like typing your
I did
RPG
too.
experience.
They're called play by posts, and
Yeah,
they're still
play by
a thing.
post. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
The good old PHB
Yeah,
bulletin
I
boards.
remember those.
Yeah,
The forum,
I've
forum.
been
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
The
Play by,
forum
yeah, forum
games.
posters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
I remember
too. Me
those.
too.
yeah. So that's kind of where
I'm
I
really good
started
Pathfinder
as a
guy.
young child, or like I guess a teenager, and kind of took a break from that. Did all the adulting things, and now I'm coming back to role playing because I love those kind of games, video games, and just in real life and getting out of my own head. And I think the pandemic was really a big push for me to do that.
I think it was that was a big push for a lot of people, um, and especially the solo role playing, the solo board gaming. The pandemic just made it flourish, right? There's some positive we can say that came out of this. A lot of people are connecting online. A lot of people, thank God we have the internet, right? If we didn't have the internet, that is gonna be a rough time, but we do. And but yeah, so would you So when you said you played as a teenager, what did you play actually? Let's go with that.
Oh, well, there's two games I kind of dabbled in, and one was based in the universe of Pern. I don't know if Anne McCaffrey and the Wares of Pern. So kind of her universe. And then
Okay.
the other one that I did was a oh, what's it called? Oh my God, I can't remember. Neo and
The Matrix?
Oh,
The
the
Matrix.
Matrix.
Yeah, it was a
Oh, the
Matrix
Matrix.
RPG. Thank you.
Oh,
I was like,
dang.
oh, why can't I remember? So
Yeah.
yeah, I dabbled in both of those younger
Okay.
as a teenager.
All right. And so you took a break. You come back. You play in the Savage game, right? So how was that? How different was it from playing in it's PbtA, right? Savvy, it's a PbtA game.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
PbtA.
So how different is that from the previous one, right? From
I feel like it was more structured than what I used to, or from what I remember for sure.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think the live interaction was a little bit of a shocker, but I feel like,
Oh yeah.
well, for me, just like coming out of a shell to a bunch of strangers, I think that was
That's
um quickly overcome, but I think that it
Oh,
was
very.
something that I needed to 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 overcome. I was very nervous for session one for sure. So that was different, just putting a face to my character and becoming kind of embodying that character and trying to,
there's and
be
then
the
you
best.
you try and then there's no like writing. Let me delete this because I don't really like this.
Right.
Let me go again. Yeah, yeah, of course.
What you
No
say is
take
what happens.
backsies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, once it's out,
Exactly
you
what you
can't you
say is
can't
what
take it back.
happens. So,
Yep. Yeah. So tabletop RPGs are very very unique in that sense. Um. So
Hey,
I'm gonna go.
Ghost.
I'm gonna.
Sorry,
Yeah.
can I pause you real quick?
Yeah. Of
Because I
course.
want to see if you're as quiet on Twitch as you are to me right now.
Oh,
Just want to make
okay.
sure you
So
can be
just
heard. Just a second.
that is totally fine. We'll take a live 10-second break. Um, so I did lower my volume just so I
You
don't.
are really, really quiet on Twitch. I mean, you're hearable. You can hear, but I am like at least 75% louder than you are.
Oh, okay. How about now? Is it much better now then?
Let me.
Much better? Okay, awesome.
Yes, sounds good. Okay,
Hey,
perfect.
thank you.
Just want
Okay.
to let you know before we
All
got too
right.
far.
Thank you, Dusk. I got somebody in my corner, okay? All right.
Okay, Dusk. I fine, but I've got him turned up on 200% on Discord right now because I can't
same.
hear
Yeah, well,
you.
I just don't want to be very, very loud. I don't
Don't
like to be very
mess
loud.
with anything.
I'm
That's
not messing
fine.
with anything because if I do, I'm not. I need CJ. By the way, shout out to CJ who's our audio engineer and who's
Trying to
trying to
fix
help me
Ghost.
fix my stuff. So shout out to him.
Sorry.
Um,
Continue,
now
please.
anyway, so I'm gonna divert a little bit, right? So I know. Do you want to be a GM? Let me end your kind of spotlight, right? Hey, see what I did there? I'm gonna end your spotlight with do you want to be a GM?
Yeah, I think in discussion with Savvy coming to the end of our witchcraft and wizardry, I started kind of having that discussion with Savvy about, hey, I think I want to pick up and GM, and I don't know what that game's going to be for me yet,
Mm-hmm.
but I definitely want to try it. It was after our one shot that we did one week, and I thought, oh, I could probably do a one shot, maybe. Like
It was
maybe,
lasers and feelings one shot.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So that brings me to Savvy, right? So you told me that PbtA is it's a good system for new GMs, right? That's so
Hey,
I
here's the thing. I didn't tell you that. I was telling Johan, that.
okay.
And I firmly believe that some PBTA systems, because you can't just say, well, PBTA overall, because you got Dungeon World and then you got what I'm running, Brindlewood Bay, and then you got City of Mist, and then you got like so you can't say just PBTAs, but some
Okay.
PBTAs
So I'm gonna
would
so
be the perfect
I'm gonna be more
thing.
specific. The
Okay.
PBTA mantra, the essence or the philosophy of what
Okay,
PBTA
thank you.
is,
That's fine.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Would you say that that is a best system for GM, like for new
I would
GMs?
say that for a new GM who does not have experience in um, D20 systems that I'm
Okay.
not going to talk badly about.
Oh,
Uh,
wait. By the way, disclaimer, right? We're not affiliated with any of the games we're just gonna mention tonight, and we don't mean
yes.
anything wrong by it. We don't mean to trash anybody. We're not going to. If it comes
Yeah,
out
we're
that
not
way,
trashing anything.
if it comes out that way, we apologize. We love games. We love every single game. We would play every single game, not run some of them, but we would play almost every game out there, right? So we just want to make
And
that clear.
just because we say that this is the best system for new GMs doesn't mean that it is.
Hmm.
We're just talking.
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
Anyways, yes. I feel like PBTA, that that type of system in general is pretty forgiving and pretty easy for a person to pick up. Some more so than others, depending on which one in particular.
Yeah.
But that's just me having come from running Pathfinder for the first game that I've ever run and going through 600 pages of rules and all that jazz. That was not fun for me.
All right. So uh why do you think that the PBTA essence, rules is one of those things, right? We have rules. Rules is one of the things that but PBTA, the essence, PBTA has its rules, right? It's very
Yeah.
very
It has
structured.
its flow.
It has its
Yeah.
flow. So I'm on the fence that is a yes or no, yes and no, right? That's the very thing. Um, I still think yes, PBTA is very for what it is, for new GMs. It provides a certain is it yes structure, but it provides experience in a field that other games do not. For example, to me,
Yeah.
PBTA is the best one to do narrative stuff. Is the best one you could if you want to learn more about it. Why? Because it holds your hand. It tells you exactly what you need to do when you need to do it, right? In terms of the story, right? Because Powered by the Apocalypse games is all about the narrative and the story. Um, now, that being said, Pathfinder, traditional systems, D20, crunchy systems like Shadowrun and all that stuff, I think they do have a merit in showing the GM how to be GM. Why? Because it gives them a certain perspective that otherwise they don't. Because if you play PBTA games, you play a lot of narrative games, you'll be great. You can be great at creating stories, but not necessarily creating like certain encounters, pacing, that kind of thing. Like those other systems do provide that in a more, I would say, codified sense. So I would say yes, new GMs they do need PBTA. I think everybody should run PBTA at least once. I think everybody should run it. But then you're gonna have people, no, why would you do that? Because I can do the same thing on this other system. Yeah, but the system
I
was
can
not
do the
designed.
same thing in 5e.
Well, I didn't want to throw names out there. But anyway, the but But the thing is that you can do the same thing in those systems, but the system was not designed to do that. If that makes
Right.
sense,
Right. Right.
right?
Right.
So let's go back to Larian. So what game would you want to run as your first one? Like what game do you think?
Well, I have definitely looked a lot of PbtA because it was my first game that I played, like first system that I played a game in. So it's familiar and it feels familiar. And I think that it's not as intimidating as, say, like Savvy also talked to me about Cortex, and I've looked at Cortex quite extensively. And Cortex can be a little bit more intimidating, I think, for new GMs getting into it because the
Mm-hmm.
rules are a little bit more complex. There's more dice, and something that I said, like, really, the GM doesn't have to worry about a dice
It's player
in
facing.
PBTA, where
It's
yeah, the
player facing.
player's dice, and you either do it or you don't, or there's something in the middle.
Yeah, always, always. Yes, Cortex is
You have to be willing to design a game if you want to play in
yeah,
Cortex.
yeah,
Yeah,
you do.
absolutely.
No.
It's just that, and that's what I said, that, and that's what I mean when you GM other games that are, I'm not saying Cortex traditional, it's not, but more encouraging, more rules, heavy games, because it gets you in a mind space, in the mindset, in a specific mindset, that when you go to these other games like PbtA, you're like, I don't have to do all this other stuff that this requires me, so I can tell a better story, right? If you learn how to build a great story, you may or may not be able to transfer that to other systems, if that makes any sense. Um, so you run a one shot, right? I love running one shots. Savvy knows this. Um, because one shots provide that enough enough of a narrative experience, but also a little bit of the rules, right? Because you will never see all the rules in a one shot. That's another thing. Um, so Savvy actually can has some experience in PbtA running a campaign. So what is the campaign you're actually running?
Oh,
That Larian
okay.
is a
Well,
player too. Yeah.
I have run one full campaign,
Mhm.
which was Witchcraft and Wizardry by Table Story. A guy named Wiz Steven made that, and it was very fun.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
Larian was in that. And then right now I am running Brindlewood Bay, which is a m- cozy murder mystery game um, that is PBTA as well. And what was your question? Those are what I'm running.
Yeah.
Also in
So.
Those
that
are
one.
also in that one.
Yeah, he's also in that one. So, um, why do you think if you would not run a PBTA game, if you're not running not Cortex, not PBTA, because I'm not gonna say
Me?
those two because yes, you, which one, uh, which other game would you run and why? This is a very good question. I'm putting you on the spot. Look at
You did
that.
not prepare me. Um, so there once was a time before I discovered Cortex, that I thought that I wanted to run all the systems. And I realized I wanted to run all the settings.
Okay.
But
Okay.
if there,
That's fair enough.
let
Yeah.
me let me scroll through my, and it'll only take me a few seconds, literally. Holy moly, no, well, okay, just a second. Something that I ran, but it's not really fair. I ran Alice is Missing, but it's more of a glorified party game than a RPG.
Some people would
Um,
disagree. I'm telling you that right
some
now.
people would,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, I ran it, and I guess maybe Call of Cthulhu,
Ah. Okay.
maybe.
So,
Um, what else do I have in here?
is it because of the setting or because of the system? I'm assuming the setting.
Okay, the thing is that I don't have a lot of experience with other systems.
Okay.
I mean, I've played in a Fate Accelerated game, and I actually quite like that, which wouldn't come as a surprise because I like PBTA.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
I would run Fate Accelerated.
Okay. So if I told you, hey, I'm gonna try to get people, we are going to, I think you played in the Shadowrun game too, didn't you? I think you
I
played
did,
it.
and I didn't like it.
Shadowrun.
It was too crunchy.
But
But
what
continue.
so what would you say was crunchy about it? Let's go with that. Let's start with that.
The way that the action resolution, from what I remember, I had a whole lot of dice to roll, and then I can't even remember how it works. I just remember there were a lot of dice. I was typing in lots of dice into the Discord bot, and then I I don't know. That I when I say I played Shadowrun, I played half of a one shot months ago back when CJ was running games. Like, so I just remember I had a lot of dice
Okay.
to
Okay.
roll.
Yeah. So let's go. So talking about, we're gonna focus on PBTA, right? Because that's the flavor of the month. Um, what is it that both of you like about PbtA? Like, I know mechanics is not, because mechanics is very easy. So it's just 2d6 plus whatever stat, right? That's just. But what is it specifically about PbtA? Is it the playbooks? Is it the structure? Is it the moves? Is it the GM section, or the MC, or whatever flavor it is for the game? Is it one of those things, or is it something else that you prefer to run and play PbtA games? For any of you,
You
whichever,
said
doesn't
the
matter.
both of us,
Yeah, both of
so
you, I guess. I don't
I was
know,
gonna
like.
let Larian go first because I had been talking.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. So, what I really like about it is that there's a little bit of creative license to it. That the world isn't always driven by my imagination; it's driven by everybody else's
Okay.
as well. And then my other point that I would say is that I feel that the rule book is very simple, and there's interpretation to it, I guess, and that it really can
Mm-hmm.
be your game and
Mm-hmm.
not, just a a structured game that everyone has to fight over the rules for, like
Okay.
other systems that I
Or
feel like
take
would be more.
pause and flip
Yeah,
through a giant book or search
exactly,
through a
Okay.
giant PDF.
Okay.
Um,
exactly.
I
So.
do want to clarify, Ghost. Larian has only had experience. I've only run PBTA games that do not include playbooks. So he doesn't have
Okay.
experience with that
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
But he said that he had looked at Masks, which has playbooks.
Mass does have
So
playbooks. Yeah.
Yes.
if
Yes.
so
Yes.
yeah, you'd be familiar with that part, but I haven't, and I haven't played in a PBTA game where I choose a playbook
You have
for.
not.
I have not.
Okay.
I've
So.
never played in a pay I've never played in a PBTA game before.
Oh yeah, that's true. Actually, you've run them all. You've never actually played in an actual
Ghost
PBTA game.
never ran one, then I never played in one.
So yeah. So let's talk about that. So PBTA. So playbooks, right? Playbooks are classes. That's what they are. They're classes. Um, so each system has, so PBTA is designed to create a specific tone, genre, and feel for whatever setting you're playing, right? So masks, everything is going to be built around it. So technically in masks, when you have the playbooks, you have the classes, which is called, the classes, archetypes, it's the same thing. So um, so you have the playbooks, and the playbooks are designed to provide a specific type of player, or player character. Um, so when you play a you're gonna see that it's gonna add rules. There's gonna be more rules. It's gonna be more of a structured thing. If you thought PBTA was liberating, when you play with playbooks, honestly, it's not. It is still very very freeing compared to the, you have creative liberties, compared to the other one. But most of the time you're kind of looking at your character sheet, which that's what the playbook is. You're looking at your character sheet to figure out what kind of abilities you have, what kind of stuff you can do. And PBTA, you can do technically whatever you want, but if you want to take advantage of your playbook, then you have to look at your abilities and try to see what they do. So it does, as you add. That's why you have Apocalypse War, which is the original Powered by the Apocalypse game, where the name comes from, of course. For those that don't know, I'm sure everybody knows. But So Apocalypse World had the playbooks. Then Dungeon World came out, which was the fantasy version of Apocalypse World, and they made some changes. They also had, they call it classes, but they were playbooks still. So it does have a crunch PbtA, for whatever people want to say. It does have a certain crunchiness to it. Okay, um, because it's designed to emulate a certain feel. So yes, so if you look at masks, it's gonna have playbooks. So you do have to know each playbook. You do have to know what they do. You do know how. You do have to know what they're best at. So yes, so that's the road. That is a very 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 good explanation, question, explanation. Guess I don't know. Yeah, you can do anything, but your playbook lets you do certain theme things mechanically better. Yes. So remember, we have perfect example. What were feats in Pathfinders, Abby?
They were like little special things that just that are a part of your character that give you a mechanical advantage.
It
Is
was
all.
yes, and it was a way for you to break the rules. That's
Wait,
what
okay, yeah. Think that's what you were looking for.
I
It's a way
mean.
for you to break the rules. Yeah, it's
So they
like,
do, and that's what playbooks are. They have certain abilities that allow you to be better at some things than others. That's
yeah.
what they are. Um, so so when I say that when you want to look at a best system for new GMs, PBTA.
Wait, but I didn't get my chance to tell you what my favorite part
Oh, my bad. I'm
was.
sorry.
You
I'm sorry.
totally took us off the
Hey,
rails.
that's what we do.
Like,
It's
I
what we do.
know.
It's what we do.
My favorite part of running PBTA games was, like I said, I've apparently never played in one.
Yeah.
Although the GM's a player, so I could argue that I've played in my own PBTA
No,
games.
no, no, no. You're not. No, no. If it's
No, you're right.
if it's player facing, you're not really
You're right.
playing.
You're
Come on
right.
now.
It's not the same. Um, as a GM, my favorite part of PBTA games is the fact that it's the story is driven by the players.
Mhm.
I like having what I can do like spelled out to me like explicitly. I have all
Okay.
my hard moves and I know exactly when I can use them because when a player fails a roll.
Mhm. Mhm.
So depending on how hard the move is or how bad they fail is a partial success or an actual
Mhm.
failure,
Mhm.
that informs what I do.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I also very much enjoy the way that everybody creates the world together. I d- I'm not sure that it's like that for every PBTA, but so far in the ones that I have run, it's very much like you speak a truth and it is so, as long as everybody is in agreement at the table. Not that you can't do that in other games, but I don't know. I will say the one downfall I've found to PBTA is if you are not in the right creative mindset, it can be
Mhm.
really hard to guide your players through a fulfilling session. But the good news is if you just try getting them to roll some dice and they partially fail or partially succeed or have some failures, then the story ends up taking off. Because I know
Okay.
Knight or Larian, we've had some times where I've come in and I'm like, I am not into this, but I'm gonna run it. And then we just start rolling some dice, and but I had really strong players. That's another thing.
Mhm.
I feel like your success as a GM with PBTA will rely on how strong your players are and
Yes.
how into
Mhm.
the narrative
So they
that
have
they
to
are.
be on board with what they have to do.
Yeah.
That's another thing. They
They can't
cannot.
just be waiting for the GM to feed them.
Yes,
Like, you
they
can't.
can't they cannot be in and come into the game. I wanna roll some dice and kill some things, right? Because sometimes we are in the mindset of doing that. Um, so so yeah, the what you said is completely true, right? It takes a lot of cognitive load uh to play a
And
PBTA
you
game.
gotta like, and you have to be like the players have to be willing to like share in the mental load of the game as opposed to like Dusk said it seems like the opposite of D&D, and it is because whenever I ran Pathfinder, which I know is it's basically D&D, is I was the one like the players would come to the table and then I would like literally hold their hands through everything. Disclaimer, not every game is like that.
Yep.
depending
Yep.
on the
Yep. Yep.
GM and the players,
Yeah.
blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my players, I had to like spoon feed them everything, and it's
So
exhausting.
it is exhausting. I did play in a D20 game, and I had some players that were some of them were better than others, but there were some that I literally had to because I was creating a story, very cinematic, very powerful story, and I had to with this player, I would say, hey, okay, so this person is doing this person is doing this just happened. What do you do? I said, well, I shoot him in the face. I'm
I
like,
remember you telling me about
and I'm
that. I was like,
like,
he's gonna say, I hit him.
I hit him,
I
and
hit
I'm
him
like,
hard.
okay, that's
I
fine.
hit him
Okay,
hard over the
so
head.
so how you do it? I take out my gun and I shoot him. Okay, so roll the dice. You roll, you fail, pass, whatever it was, and okay, so he's the and I would ask him, it's like, hey, so how do you want to do? How does that look? You got, oh man, you got a nat 20. How does that look? I don't know. You tell me. So it was a little
Yeah.
bit so I had to and it
Ah,
came
yes,
up
dusk.
and he came up upon to yes, cast magic missiles of darkness, yes. So it came a point where I said, hey, this is more than just you being murder hobos, right? You have to I introduced their backstories. I made it all about the players. I made it all they ran into people that they knew in the past and all these things. I involved everything. And it literally, so it was a cyberpunk game. So the person was an android, kind of, right? So there were no feelings there. And I could get it. I was like, you know what? It's your character. It's fine. I get it. But I made almost to the end of the campaign, I made him a decision. I was like, okay, you are badly broken because you fell down. You fell over out the window of a 50 something foot floor, right? And you landed, you failed all the saves that I gave you to try to get back on track. So you're broken, you're almost dead. So they take him back to a laboratory. They put him on ice and they figured out there was some way they could transfer his essence and his memories and everything to this other more advanced model of the android. And I was like, okay, so I need you to do this role. You fail it, I told him you have a choice. You can get the better upgrade android, but you lose your memories. Or you can stick to the old one, but you get to keep your memories. And of course, he chose the one with the more powerful abilities and more whatever. He's like, I don't care about memories. I'm like, so
I don't
eh,
care about the
I
story.
don't
I
care about the
just
story.
want to be
So
powerful.
and then one of the things that I did, okay, so when this happens, you feel this thing. So I literally described that he was in this new Android because it was a better version. He was actually getting feelings of anger, happiness, sadness, all these things, and that never came out. So
You tried.
it was very hard for me trying to get this player to get out of this mindset and try to get more involved in the story. And again, he didn't have to because the system, and that's another key thing, the system
Didn't
did
require
not
it.
did not need him to do that.
Like Dusk says, the murder hobo, is it a character or stat block? And a lot of people treat their characters as stat blocks, and that's all they
Yes,
care about.
that's all they care about. So the thing is that he did not because there are systems, not PbtA. PbtA is all narrative. You have to be involved with your character. You have to play the part. If not, you will have a sucky experience, and that will bring down the group. It will drag down the group with you. So, but there are other systems that let you be as narrative as you want or as traditional as you want, and it doesn't matter. The game will still flow. It's just if you want to make it that way, you don't have to. And that's what he leaned on. That was what he was comfortable with. That's what you're comfortable with, and that's how you play. So what I mean to say is that PbtA is a great system for what it does, but I think traditional crunchy systems for beginner GMs that I think they should run some of them. I think that it will give them a different perspective.
You're saying
So
it would be a value. It would have value,
hey,
is what you're saying.
you might even like them. I'm just saying. So
Yeah.
I'm
A lo-
so Sabi, I'm gonna ask you this question then. If you had a group, let's say you had Larian in your group. Let's say you had all the players in your Brindlewood story playing the Pathfinder. How about
I would
that?
obviously adapt the Pathfinder to the murder cozy investigation, because people do that.
You can do that.
And
You can.
we would actually disregard skill list altogether, and then we would just roll 2d6 and have them all. Just kidding. Okay.
So I'm gonna ask Larry because we've been talking for
Yeah.
a long time. So I'm gonna ask you a
And
question.
Larian also, he brought his own list of points he wanted to bring up and maybe ask. So
Oh yeah, of course.
there's that
Oh
too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't know that. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I,
Go ahead.
I did do some prep.
He did.
Not a question on my
Prep.
list though,
What
and
is
I
prep?
was wondering,
Come on now.
Savvy. Sorry, I don't want to hijack anything. Is this an
That's
okay
fine.
time to
Hey, hey.
ask
You
you?
say
Okay.
what you want. We don't
Um,
care.
There's
We've
Savvy.
no
been talking
script.
for 30 minutes.
There's no
Do
script.
you
So
feel
go ahead.
do you feel that depending on your players that with PbtA that some players who are stronger or more invested in the role play could railroad the role play more so than players that are more
So
shy
That is a
so
great question. That is a
I
great
think
question.
that you're looking less for railroad and more for spotlight stealing.
or spotlight? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I absolutely do think that that is a issue, if but that depends on if the GM lets it be an issue.
Yes.
And the way that I combated that in particular in our witchcraft and wizardry is because I had strong players. All the players in there were pretty strong in witchcraft and wizardry, but it's all a matter of knowing when to cut a scene, knowing when to call out another player, because a lot of times when two people really get into the role play, then everybody else is sitting there like this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When's it my turn? Or I don't really want to talk because it seems like everybody else is doing such a better job than I am, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
The player anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the way that I combat that is by literally taking the spotlight in my hands and dragging it and shining it in people's faces. I actually had a game I ran, which I'm not going to say what it was because I don't want to like make it personal or anything. And I had a player in it who they were literally everybody else except for them were talking. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
presenting conflict, I was presenting information, and the way that I would try to pull the spotlight onto that player is I would say, okay, so and so, how do you react? How does your character react? What do they think? Like I try to make sure everybody gets a chance to speak in a scene if they're in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
My cat is on my camera. Okay, there we go. It's stabilized.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
I guess I understand what you're saying. I guess from what I'm thinking is that when you give people the spotlight, for example, they don't necessarily take it, and they don't
Right.
know what to do with it. And I think with a narrative-based campaign like PbtA, it can be a challenge.
Yeah.
Is what
Definitely.
I would anticipate.
So
And the thing is that that's where it came down to the success that a new GM is going to have in running their PBTA game is going to be the strength of the players that they have. Because if
so
you go and run the game and none of your players are comfortable role playing, and then it's like pulling teeth as a GM to get people to do stuff, you'll be like, I don't want to do this. This is awful. I did not have fun. But it's really fun when I have a group like you guys and y'all just take the reins and okay, go ahead,
so
Gus. You can talk now.
I would say also the experience of the GM plays a lot in it. For example, so there are systems out there that are somewhat structured for that specific reason. That's why initiative turns, that's what that is, honestly. It is to spread the wealth, to spread the spotlight. So if you have systems that are very good at doing that, then you can learn how to, okay, when is it appropriate to do it? When is it necessary, which is the word you're looking for? When is it necessary to have them? And if you don't, um, if you how to say that? If you put the spotlight on somebody and that person is not, then your experiencing GM with dealing with other players or dealing with similar things will allow you to be like, hey, okay, so you can give them options. You don't have to put the spotlight in them, just be in the spotlight with them, right? That is the key. And you put them, okay, so what do you do? And if you see that there it takes them a couple of seconds, it's like, well, I don't know, it's like, okay, so this is what's going on. What do you want to do? There's some things you can do. You can maybe do this, or you can maybe do this, or you can maybe do
Yeah,
this.
giving them options
Giving them
helps them
options
like
is very,
get out
very,
of that
very good. Yeah,
paralyzation.
analysis paralysis is a real thing. It's a real thing. I have it every
Yeah.
time I want to buy a game because I don't know what to buy. There's so many games out there, but that's another topic. So, but yeah,
Do you
so
have
that to
another
answer your
question?
question, yes, it is very difficult for a new GM. I remember when I was a new GM. You know what game I actually started GMing? Fourth edition, D&D fourth edition. That was horrible. I loved playing it, hated running it. But for different reasons. But the thing is that I will let them. I will be in the spotlight with them. That's what that means when you offer them a choice. You give them something to do. So even if they're not listening to you, they're thinking about what they want to do. They might pick up words that you're saying in order to do something. Hey, oh, maybe I could do this, and I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever, do what you want to do, right? Within reason, right? So so yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, that's
Yeah, and I think it brings me kind of to my next point a little
mm-hmm.
bit about do you feel like PbtA is less more players versus GM like in some other games where you're rolling dice against each other?
Okay.
Player
So
versus GM
all right.
should
So this is a
never be a
it
thing.
should never be a thing. It should never be a thing.
Sure.
Honestly, it should never be a thing. So there is a bad rep for what player versus GM is. So what you said there, some people might take it in a good way because yeah, you're rolling opposing each other, but that's not really when you say player versus GM, people mean another thing entirely. Basically, the GM wants to kill the players or not players, sorry, player
Right.
characters.
Not what I mean.
Yeah, I know that's not what you mean, right?
Yeah.
But if when you say player versus GM, a lot of people think that is the GM wants to kill the player characters, and the player characters are surviving. They're not playing. They're not in the story. They're just trying to survive whatever the GM throws at them. That's what but yeah, but what you do, uh, I'm gonna think about that one. Savvy, if you want to answer that
Well,
one.
I have stuff to say.
Yeah,
In
you
every
sound like Axio now.
in every in every PBTA game, there is a philosophy or a set of principles to abide by as a GM. You'll find it in the GM section. And on every single one, you will see these exact words: be a fan of the characters. So even though you are making moves against the characters when they fail, you are not against the characters on a personal level. Like you have to be um a fan of them. So the PBTA, and even then, like in something like Cortex, sure, you've got competitive dice rolling going back and forth between GM, D20 systems, heavy like
Mm-hmm.
encounter systems, GM's rolling dice, but that doesn't automatically mean that it's player versus GM. If that makes any sense, because the GM should not be against the players, even if
Right.
okay, here's a great example. Your child fails to clean his room, and so he gets disciplined. Consequences. I'm not going to tell you how to parent your children, but either way, just because you discipline your child doesn't mean that you are against them. It's
Mm-hmm.
not child versus
Mm-hmm.
parent.
Yeah.
It's that's that's just how it works. And so in PBTA, when you choose to do something
There are
and you fail,
consequences.
there's
Yeah.
consequences that the system
Mm-hmm.
requires you to dole out in order to keep the game moving. Now it's
Yeah.
different if you go in to like Pathfinder and you're like, I am going to engineer the most severe encounter for this party and I'm going to TPK, or
Hey,
so help me.
you should always aim to TPK. You should always aim to TPK.
I guess the
Um,
point that I'm trying to make, and you kind of alluded to it, Savvy, is that it's less about picking the difficulty for your characters because the difficulty is already built in as a mechanic.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, they are.
totally.
It's
Yeah.
already embedded in the
Yeah.
system. Yeah.
It's just if you
So
if you fail your roll, something bad's
Yeah.
gonna happen.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there
So
are games out there. Yeah, PbtA is really good at that, and that's what means player facing because you roll, then it's your own fault. If you fail, it's your own fault. If you or the dice's fault, whatever, tomato tomato. So yeah, so the in other games it's not. It's like literally you beat me, and that's where it gets a little bit tricky. And thus makes a good point where dice should only be used when it's necessary. I will differ in that statement a little bit. But in PbtA, yes, it is definitely when necessary. Even if you trigger a move, I don't think it always needs a move. I mean, it not always needs a dice roll. Um, Only if the outcome is uncertain, that's when I would say like, okay, you
if
need
the
to roll
outcome's
dice. Yeah.
uncertain or interesting, did he
hmm
say interesting as well?
I don't know. He's talking about how you can make the narration in like more
Oh,
crunchy games. Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If that, yeah.
So
Only make them roll if the outcome would
yeah.
add something to the
So
story
it says use the
or
dice to settle conflict when either outcome would be fun. But if you're in a primary narrative system, you don't have to crunch structure. You don't have crunch structure to fall on back on. That's very very true. But
yeah.
conflict, you know, if I'm using a crunchy system, I will roll dice because I like to play, and to me, rolling dice is playing because I am playing a
And
game.
that's where Ghost and I differ.
Yes,
Is that
yes,
I
yeah,
love to GM games, but I don't want to be in charge of rolling dice. I
yeah,
literally just enjoy watching my little players
yeah.
do their stuff, and
hmm
I'm like, oh, this is so
So,
sweet.
so you are
I
a
love it.
storyteller. That's what you are.
Yes.
And we're gonna go off on a tangent. But yeah, so that's where we kind of
Hostility.
argue. Not
Like,
hostilities, not hostility.
no, no, I'm sorry. The mod told
Oh,
me that Pineapple's message got held for hostility because he said what happens when they fail a roll and it highlighted they fail. So hostile. I'm not allowing it. Just kidding. It's fine.
that's fine.
Anyways,
So
continue.
yeah.
Ridiculous.
So I'm with Dusk on this one because he says the GM should be an active participant. Now there are different types of participations. There's the GM side where you're telling the story with the players, which you're a storyteller, Fate, PbtA, all those things, right? You are active participant, right? Because and there are some people we talked about it. There are some people that don't like that when you ask them, hey, does your character know this person or who does he know inside of this? What
Like,
can
you
you
tell
tell
me.
me about this? What can you tell me
Yeah.
about people? Some people don't like it. Some people don't like it, and I've run into those people, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Fine, don't tell me anything. I will make it up, but then you have to suck it up. So and then you have the other games where the GM is the active participant. They're rolling dice. They want to roll dice. I like to roll. That's why I love Cortex, because it's not as crunchy as other games, but it still allows me to roll dice because damn it, I bought the dice to use them. So, so yeah, so that's. I don't know if that answered your question. I think we rambled on it, but do you have any more questions?
I mean, yes, it answered my question. I was just wondering for opinion. So there was no wrong
Yeah, there's
wrong
no wrong.
answer.
Honestly, there's no wrong
Yeah,
answer. It's however you want to play it.
absolutely.
You don't even need
Yeah.
rules. You don't need rules. You can just throw a d6 or a coin. You can flip a coin, and you can tell an entire story with the mechanic of flipping a coin, and that
Right.
is
So I
that is
think
fine.
so my other kind of point was is that do you feel that PBTA would be good for people like me who want to run their first one shot or their first game and just get into GMing because as heavily it's not heavily put on the GM to run like drive narrative.
I'm gonna let Savvy take that one.
Oh, okay. So you already know my opinion of this. I think as somebody who started GMing as a first time in Pathfinder, I had played Pathfinder for a couple months and then our GM left back in the days when you could actually like play in person. And then I was like, sure, I'll do it, not knowing what I got myself into. And then what followed were excruciatingly long prep sessions and map making and all that garbage that may not be garbage for other people, but it is to me because that's not my style. Um, I would say that having started in Pathfinder and then moving over to PbtA, because I, as the GM, was so spoon fed because I used adventure modules, really improv heavy people who can handle that might make their own D&D stuff, but I can't because it's too many rules and stuff. And so going from that to PbtA was super like gave me a lot of anxiety because I was so used to being in control of 110% of everything that happened in the game and outside of the game. And I had to jump to our game in PbtA where you guys could go do whatever you wanted and I couldn't prepare for what you were going to do. And that freaked me out. Theater's character went running off to the Forbidden Forest in the like second session, and I'm like, I didn't prep this area. Like, I don't know what happens here. And that freaked me out, and I railroaded them. Sorry, theater. I railroaded them back, even though I shouldn't have because it's PbtA. And I've learned since. I'm getting better. That was way back in the early days last year. But um,
So
PbtA is
good.
good because it
I
show
was like, I was
okay.
like, I was like, you were talking about it. I was like, wait, what was the question again?
Is it
Sorry. Is it good? Should
is
be
it good
rated as
because you don't
it's
have to drive narrative for people
Okay.
who aren't comfortable driving narrative, basically?
Okay.
oh, okay. Um, yes and no. Because
Your
even
favorite
though
answers.
Of course,
yeah,
I know,
even
right?
though PbtA it does rely a lot on the players driving the narrative. And Knight and I were talking before, Larian and I were talking before the stream about how you can't really bring an overall plot and you can't bring a story that has a resolution to your PbtA game because the players either won't bite it, they might not bite it, so you don't want to force them. Um, and then but at the same time, you do have to have that like creative improvisational
hmm
energy
hmm
to provide the foundation for them to build their own story upon, which
So
can be very intimidating. Is
it is
very
intimidating.
intimidating. Yeah,
So my suggestion
that's
is once you have the set of whatever game you want to run, whatever campaign you want to run, I would say that you have instead of having plot hooks, you have, and I learned this. I think it was yesterday or today. I'm not sure because I like to listen to YouTube channels, discussions about these things about tabletop RPGs on the way to work, on the way back, and the they were talking about don't use plot hooks, use events, right? Have
yeah.
specific events that happen, and then whichever one the players grab onto, then you roll with that one, right?
That's what I told him.
So
I was like, use situations and conflicts
yeah,
and see
use
how the
situations.
players handle it.
Some of them don't even want to do conflict. Some of them want to do mysteries. Some of them want to
Yeah,
do I don't know.
aka me all the time.
So they want to do conflict,
That's all I care about.
mysteries, travel, explorations, that kind of thing. Just have a clear goal in mind of what you want. The overall campaign. Here, there's this bad guy doing something, right? They want to do something. How they go about it, that could come through play. Your players will help you, dude. Will help you, figure that out. Because they'll hold on to like the tiniest things or the littlest things, and you're like, that's not where I wanted to go, but
I guess
sure,
I'll make that a
that's
story now. I
you
guess
know,
we'll
like,
go
hey,
over there.
Guess we're going
I
in
want,
that direction.
yeah,
Guess we're going to the Forbidden Forest.
I want to
I
turn
hope
into
you
a
fail your
dragon.
roll.
I want to turn into a dragon. I want to
I
fight a
wanted,
dragon to
yeah,
dragon.
I did that.
Sure,
Okay,
okay,
but
why not?
that was cool.
So it was cool. It was cool actually. But yeah, so it will go into directions you will never have. Like no plan ever survives contact with the players. That is a mantra that every GM needs to know, and if they don't, they should know it. Right? That is something that you can there's some prep that you can do, right? So And again, so my thing, it's people don't like this, but I say it anyway. It's all about the illusion of choice. Illusion of choice. That's all it is, right? So if you have an idea of something and that doesn't happen, that doesn't mean you can move that over and put it in front of them later, right? That's just what it is. People say, "Oh my God, you railroaded them." It's like, yeah, no, it's not if they don't see the tracks. So, um, but yeah, I don't like to railroad. I don't. I just have an idea of where to start and where it's
Mm.
gonna finish. Everything else in between, it's whatever. So you can have
Yeah.
that, and that will set up something. There is a system that I like to. I will run for the server at some point. Index Card RPG. It is my favorite D20 system. It is a D20, but it's very DIY. It's a do-it-yourself. Basically, every rule you can take. It's like Cortex. You can take them out and plug them back in. It's just you can do whatever with it, and it's still gonna work because it's not gonna break the system, and that is what's beautiful about it. But the thing is that the GM section of that book, it is one of the best GM sections I've ever read, and it's all about, it doesn't tell you what things are, it just tells you, hey, how to be a badass GM. This is what you need to know. You are the GM, and it gives you all the principles of being a GM, but then it tells you, hey, you want to build encounters, do encounters designs like this, like this, like this. Single room DC, yes. So hey, build Bob. So yeah, so basically the system is designed around a room target number. So the entire room, doesn't matter what's in it, has a single target number, and everybody has to beat it for whatever reason. And that makes everything simple, but that's just the system, and I don't talk about the system. But the thing is that it helped me be a better GM just by reading that book and watching some of his videos in Runehammer Games. Yeah, shout out to Hank. He's an awesome dude. Um, so just I would say for a beginner GM, not just play system, but read other systems. Even if you never play them, just read them and watch videos, podcasts. I've been meaning to do a sandbox campaign for a long time, but I don't know if I have the time for that or the patience, because my games are very high tempo. So yeah, I don't know. But I went on a rant again. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Do
What's a
you,
sandbox game? Is that like
Oh.
what?
Okay.
Is
it's
that what?
basically
No,
PbtA.
it's not.
Okay,
No, it's not.
yeah,
No, it's not. No, it's not.
that's what
Okay.
you had your
All right.
envisioning for Witchcraft and
Yeah. So okay.
Wizardry at
Let me.
It
first,
Let
was
me.
right?
like a Hogwarts
Uh.
sandbox.
Yeah,
Uh.
But
Let me
Ghost
stretch.
has like a more
So
intricate
I
so
just what's
video
the
sandbox.
gaming
definition?
Right.
idea.
Definition. Right. Sandbox. You play with Skyrim, right?
Skyrim.
Yeah,
Skyrim. That is a sandbox game right
who
there.
hasn't?
That savvy. So I'm throwing that out there.
I just got turned into a vampire and I couldn't break into the person's house to get the cure and they kept murdering me at night. So I just gave up. I'm still a vampire to this day, hiding from angry villagers. It's been like 10 years.
By the way, yeah, Skyrim still has the same bugs it had 10
Oh,
years ago.
great.
So yeah, that's
I
just
also downloaded like 300 mods, so that may have been part of my issue with the game.
Maybe.
so anyway, so yeah, so
Sorry.
Sandbox, it's
We're not
literally
affiliated with
we're not
Skyrim.
affiliated with Skyrim, Bethesda, Microsoft now, all those games we're not affiliated. So yeah, so Sandbox is literally you put the players in a spot, create a couple of things around them, and then let them roam wild. Right. The only
And if they
problem,
don't roam, then it doesn't work.
yeah, because so the good thing about this, all about is expectations session zero. So they need to have a reason to explore the land. They need to have a reason to go from point A to point B. That is, so basically you create a town with a couple of NPCs. I heard a podcast, I listened to a podcast once, and they said you need three things you need to for players to do. You need three things. They're gonna want to do three things. Where to find crap. They need a place to find crap, a ruins, dungeon, something to find crap. Somewhere they can sell the crap. Somewhere, which is probably the same place where they're gonna buy the crap, and then somewhere they can get crap to do. That is the three things you need in order to run a or start a sandbox. So you're gonna see them all the time. Roll 20. You go, oh, this is a sandbox campaign. It's people that have built a world, an entire world, with ruins and points of interest and towns and cities and all that stuff. And 95% of that gets wasted because the players are don't even go to those places. That
Yeah,
is the bad
yeah,
thing about the
sandbox is
sandbox. Yeah.
not for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm the type of person where I went and I did all that prep work on my Pathfinder maps and the dungeon and my players, not Kaylee in real. This was my original. They decided we're just gonna go straight through this dungeon. We don't need to go into those different corners. And I gave them a GMPC that ran off to those places to make them explore all the rooms I had prepared,
You will go
which
into
is
these
the
rooms,
number
damn it.
one, like, no, no, you don't do that.
No, no.
But I did because I was really salty about the amount of time I spent prepping
Yeah.
maps.
So yeah. So
I just wanted to
that's what
go through.
that's what
Okay,
sandbox is. Literally, it's
couldn't
not
do
a dungeon
sandbox.
itself. It's like a big map, a big world, and you throw them in and then let them explore. That's all it is. So you have
Okay,
to. It's a
fair.
very long term thing. Like some people say PbtA, yeah, it's kind of sandboxy, but PbtA is more of a story sandbox, not a literal sandbox.
You give them the theme, you give them the like tone and style of play you're going for. Like if so it's not true sandbox because if you guys in my witchcraft and wizardry group wanted to say we are breaking out of Hogwarts, we are going to the human world and we're going to go cast magic on people. I'd be like, "No, we're not. No. That's not what this game is about."
So, and that's another thing. Like, what is the game
Hold
about,
up.
right?
I'm out. Theater, cuz theater would
so
do that.
so I did in Cortex, I did and in ICRPG I did a Mass Effect game, right? I created Mass Effect
Oh, cool.
for Cortex and ICRPG, and I was gonna run an ICRPG, but then I discovered Cortex, and then I did it in Cortex or whatever. So the point is that I was going to do a sandbox. Basically, I was gonna have them come in, find something, and this little piece of item, it was actually going to transport them to another system. And then they would have to literally drop in the middle of a jungle, and then they would have to go out and explore the thing, right? It never came to fruition, never happened. But yeah, so I've always had plans of doing sandbox. It's just that you need a lot of time for that, and you need a dedicated group as well, cause that's another thing.
A dedicated group that's into constant
Yeah.
initiation
The
of
only problem about the
stuff.
sandbox is after your player character has done what it wanted to do, then there's no point in them being there. And then you kind of lose the
Um,
magic, lose the focus, and then you kind of lose like the fire, and it
and
goes
then
into
you just go
yeah,
play a video game that can do
yeah,
it better.
yeah, yeah. You can do that. Yeah. So that is what
Do
sandbox is.
you do you have
Uh,
any other questions or comments
Anybody in
No,
the
I
for
did.
audience?
yourself for your own venture into GMing?
I mean,
Questions.
I definitely have looked at. I've already taken your advice, Ghost, without even you having to give it to me. But I have looked at many different systems already. Like almost
Yeah,
every system that has
yeah.
been suggested to me, I've looked at. I
Hmm.
refuse to go through the 800-page rule manual of one system that is like 10 books long. So
Hmm.
that will forever live probably on my console for now. um, but yeah, I'm excited to dabble in a one shot or campaign or something in the
Yeah.
future. I don't know what system that will be, but
Okay.
likely Cortex or PbtA for sure.
So
Yeah, but
if
that's all.
I would say another suggestion I would have. I know I like to give suggestions, but I never actually apply
Yeah,
them.
go.
It's like do what I say, not what I do. Uh, there are different. Another thing you can do if you want to do one shots, you can do an episodic campaign. You can do
Right.
that, right? Which is
Monster of the
not
week.
Monster of the Week is
Wait, no, wait.
it. You
Susanna told
can
me it's not episodic.
you can play it episodic if you want to. Any game, honestly, you can play episodic. Come on now, let's be real.
That's fair.
You can play it episodic, which is actually pretty cool. I've done that before, and it actually works. If you have a good group, but if but it doesn't matter who's in it because every episode is different. It has an
Yeah.
overall goal, but it doesn't matter. You can drop in, drop out players, and it's not going to
And
change anything.
I just realized like not everything is resolved at the end of an episode on TV. And then I'm
Right.
just thinking, I just watched through 14 seasons of Degrassi.
Jesus
Don't
Christ.
bother.
Jesus Christ.
Don't bother. Season 14 was trash.
How was Drake
Um,
in his
well,
younger
Drake, that
years?
was like season 3, like 1 through 3 or something, and then yeah,
So
14 was all.
so yeah, so
Anyway, sorry.
you can play episodic games, yeah, just like the old TV series, which is when one episode was just contained. You can do
Right.
that. And nobody ever watched the entire season. They just watched the first 2 episodes, the middle 3 or 4, and then the last 2, and that was it. Um, so yeah, because nobody had time for
Except for
like
me,
25
probably.
episodes. No,
Oh, I do.
no, just
45 episodes per season.
Jesus Christ.
Degrassi.
Oh my God.
Bloody hell.
It's like a headache. That's just way. I can't.
It was
Yeah.
fun.
No, I have a 3-year-old. Yeah, I can barely watch any
Yeah.
television. So, but yeah. So, man, we're an hour and change.
Yeah, just a little bit of change though, because we got a late start. We
We
started
did. We
at
did. We did.
7 or
Yeah.
8:15,
Yeah. We
and it's
did. Anybody in the
9:20.
crowd that want to say something? Want to add
Yeah, y'all
to
got
the?
any suggestion, tips, advice, questions pertaining to the topic?
Don't ask me because I don't know anything. But yeah,
Ask me, I know everything.
yeah. All right.
I am going with I know nothing.
I say as I've only had like 2 years in the GMing seat.
Yeah. So
It's
and that's
not the
that.
quantity, it's the quality.
Quality, that's right.
I would say it's the variety. That's what I
Variety.
would
That's
say.
fair, because if you've only ever GM'd one thing,
Yeah,
like,
it's the variety. I'm a
yeah.
believer in the variety. I say that, and the most I've run for the past months has been Cortex, and I say that, and I'm about to run a one shot
To
of
be
Cortex.
fair,
So,
to be fair,
oh my God.
Cortex is a different game every time.
Yes,
Tell me I'm wrong.
yes, and no.
And no.
Um, so it is a different system every time, right? Because you have to teach some of the rules every time you play it. You have to design the game, right? Uh, but you have to look at what is it that makes it different, right? That is the question. What makes each system, not just Cortex, each system different? Is it the core mechanics? Is it the tone? Is it the ambiance, the theme? Is because honestly, all PbtA games are the same. So you strip it down to the bare minimum, the basics, 2d6, the action resolution. All of them are the same. All of them.
It's
They're
true.
all the same. Same thing with Cortex. I mean, again, there's nothing wrong with that. They're awesome. All these games are awesome. But then you have to figure out what it is that makes that specific game unique. And I think that's something that no matter that I come to realize actually after reading some of the books that I have, after actually sitting down and not just stripping them down for parts for Cortex, that's what I do mostly, just looking at the game for what it is and seeing, okay, see how they do things, what they bring to the hobby, to the genre, to the table, I guess. And so after doing my toast from the looping Cortex, they told me, hey, I was talking with Axio. He's like, oh, why don't you just run Tills? I was like, no, because I already created the game in Cortex. I'm not going back. Yeah. So
City of Mist. Hi, brain torn out. Brain torn out. Ooh, that sounds painful.
that sounds
Okay.
painful.
Took me
So
a
I will
second.
I will get into City of Mist. Yes, it is one of my favorite PbtAs. I'll get into that one in a second.
I
So so
Go
yeah,
ahead.
so you have to. So one of the games that I'm looking at is Coriolis, right? Coriolis by
Yeah.
Freely Games, not affiliated, none whatsoever. And I really started reading it just to strip it down for parts, and I created a game in Cortex for it. I created it in Cortex, but then I started reading it. And I was like, you know what? I think I am missing something. I am missing out when I do this for some reason. Um, yeah. So I don't know. So I'm gonna stop talking about that, but that's another entirely different topic. So best system for new GMs in my opinion is City of Mist. Accessible idea system, far easier to understand than D&D, and it gives the GM far more freedom in the planning. Again, it is still PbtA. It is still the same PbtA as Dungeon World, the same PbtA as all these other games. It's just done in a different mechanic, different way. You don't have stats. You have power tags. You have abilities that when you're trying to do something and you activate a move, you add those power tags that are relevant to that action, and then you throw 2d6 and then you add those, and that's it. So it is now concept of the game, the theme, the feel. It is one of the best PbtA games ever. Production value is off the charts. It is a noir investigation with superpowers, but the superpowers are based off anything anything fictional in literature, cinema, video game, history, culture, whatever you want. You can have the powers of like the lightning god and the man's I don't know what's it called. I don't know how to say that. Not in English anyway. Or you can have let's say the power of like King Arthur. That is your powers. But the thing is, they are an entity inside of you, not a split personality, but they have urges, they have something that they want, and they're going through you to get it. So it is mind bending how good it is.
That sounds like the anime Fate.
Yes, but they are not
But
their own
no.
person.
Yes and no.
They're not their own
Right.
person. You still control it, but it is this deep voice inside of you that's telling you, hey, what is this? You need to go after that. You need to go after that. But until the end, you have that decision. And depending on what you do, you either ignore it or you go for it. It has mechanical consequences in the game because you either, if you attend to what is looking for, or if you go into what is looking for, you lose your humanity. You keep losing your humanity slowly. But then if you ignore it, then you lose the power and then you become a normal person. So it's anyway, it's so good. Anyway, so I did a hack in Cortex which we played,
It was
and
really good.
it was
I was
actually pretty
my
good. It was actually
first
pretty good.
foray into City of
Yeah.
Mist. It
And
was
Bill was
great.
actually a player too, so that was a good game. Um oh yeah. So
Oh,
one
cool.
guy based his powers on the Tower of Babylon. There you go. Another based it on the Attack of a Dead Man event from World War One. Yeah, that you can literally have anything, as long as you can explain it and it's within reason. Go for it. So, but yeah. Uh, anything
Hmm.
else? Anybody else?
And so to wrap up, I do want
Yep.
to say that the best system for a new GM is a system that you would be interested in running,
Yeah.
because there are plenty of people who want to do the maps and they want to do the crunch and they want to do all that
Mm-hmm.
jazz.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to find their happy place in PbtA.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
That is
then
very
there's
true.
people like me who will not find my happy place in D&D ever. Never.
Nah, you just need to play with the right group. That's all.
No,
my
I just
little my
don't like
my little pony
GMing it.
RPG it is. That's actually
Yes, I saw that.
I've
Absolutely.
heard it's actually pretty good. Not gonna
I,
Sorry,
lie.
did you
you
say
know
My
what?
Little Pony?
There's an
Yes,
RPG
okay.
in
And the
Pathfinder
show is pretty
and
legit.
I
The
think in fifth
books.
edition. I'm not sure, but definitely Pathfinder. There is My Little Pony. Yes.
I thought that there was like a standalone, like
No, I
that's
think
kind
it's
of
based on
narrative.
I don't know. I'm not. I could be completely wrong. I'm probably completely wrong. But yeah,
Me
there is
too.
a My Little Pony RPG. Yeah, there is. It's just
So yes,
Sorry, everybody.
that's fine.
that's
Don't worry about it.
the
We do it all
first
the
game
time.
that
We
you
do it all the
must GM.
time. So Savvy does it all the time when she
Yeah,
drinks margarita. So it's fine.
I do. Yes, but I've got tea today, so no alcohol. I thought there.
Uh,
Yeah, he says there totally is. Bill the Bobder. Thanks, Bill
yeah,
the Bobder.
he's an awesome player, by the
Um,
way. People, yeah, you we have a great player. We play with Bill. Yeah.
Bill.
So
Yeah, he played in
he's playing
the
our
City
City
of
of
Mist
Mist.
game.
Yeah.
Ah, that was fun. Oh, that
Yeah.
was so much fun.
Yeah.
So Larian, any final words?
No, just thank you for having me tonight. It was great to talk about
Yeah.
this, and thank you for allowing me to interview you as you interviewed me, and I had a blast. Thank you.
Oh, really?
Awesome. No
Yeah.
problem. And
And thank you for
for
saying those
every
words, even though you don't mean any of them. But yeah, that's awesome. Cause
yeah,
we didn't. Yeah, we're not. But anyway.
it's okay. For those of you who do not know,
Mm.
uh, Table Talk RPG is a bunch of people who just hang out and talk about table talks, tabletop RPGs, and we are hosted by our Discord server called Roll for Gaming, and I will drop a link for that. Although the majority of our 4 people watching are a part of that server, but just in case you're not,
Join it anyway.
come join us. We are
Uh,
friendly, and also if you're looking to GM games, like I said, we have a bunch of players, but
Alright.
me and Ghost are the only one GMing games right now, and
But
So
it's a lot.
and what I really like about the server is that there's GMs like Savvy and Ghost that are willing to help
I'm not
people
gonna
that
like
want to
chew you out.
GM.
nah,
Yeah,
we
we
won't.
want
I
to
mean, we'll
bring up the
probably.
baby GMs.
Yeah, we do. I do.
We
So
need an episode on up and coming games. Yes, I will peruse
yeah.
the
So it.
Kickstarter.
So actually,
Axio has lots of stuff on that too
yeah,
that I'm sure he would
we
love to talk
do.
about.
We call it the new FLGS. The Kickstarter, the new
F-
FLGS.
It
Yep, that's what
is
it is. But
the
that's
new
the.
friendly local game store
Yep, that's what
where
Kickstarter
you
is
can
right now.
stay safe and not get the COVID.
Yes, that is very true.
Yes,
Get the COVID.
Get the COVID.
that is what it is called. The COVID.
All right, we're rambling now.
Okay, we need to
So,
sign off of here. It's good
okay.
to see you guys. Come
Thank
back
you,
next
thank
week.
you.
Axio should be back, but if he's not, then we will find somebody else to put their lovely face
Yeah,
in his spot.
we will, and
And
we'll interrogate them. We'll put them in the spotlight, and we'll put them on the spot and see how they react. That's what we do.
yes, that's
But yeah,
fun.
thank you
Gracefully.
everybody.
Grace.
We again, I apologize. Okay, disclaimer again. Not affiliated with any of the games that we just mentioned, nor the companies,
And Ghost
nor
apologizes for his sound
I
quality.
do apologize for my sound quality. Although I heard somebody say that I was fine. I don't know. I'm just saying maybe it's you guys. But I'm
Totally
probably.
us.
Maybe the crackling isn't happening on Twitch. I will go back and check.
Yeah, maybe it is. Yeah, see, sounds
Sounds
fine.
fine on my end, says
Hey,
Bill the Bobder.
all
Well,
right.
you
Well, you
crackle.
guys are putting
Snap,
me
crackle,
in
pop.
the craziness, anxiety mode with.
I bet
Uh,
it's Discord.
it's probably Discord. It's probably Discord.
It's probably Discord. We should use Zoom.
Yes, we should definitely.
TBH.
Yeah, see, no crackle on the stream. There you go. See.
Woohoo.
So I
So we're
thought. So
the
I
only
think
ones
it's.
subjected to this torture. Or just kidding. It's not
Uh,
that bad.
it's not that bad. But anyway, so yeah, we love engaging with you guys over there in the Twitch land, so Twitchverse. We do appreciate commenting. We love it. That knows that at least somebody's listening to us, right? And
Sometimes.
sometimes.
Or at least
So
watching our faces.
I know, right? So yeah, so go over if you want to watch some of our previous ones. Go on YouTube. We do have a YouTube now.
Yeah,
Um,
youtube.com/.
Table Talk RPG. That's all it is.
And then also we are on the Twitterverse at twitter.com/. Tabletop RPG underscore.
There we go. I was like,
Make sure you have the underscore, the other thing.
yeah,
Without it, that's not us.
yeah.
So
So yeah. So I
Good
am
to
the
know.
one that uses the Twitters. So
yeah,
I'm
it's
in
all
the
good.
Twitters.
It used to
Some
be me
yeah.
until I mistreated it and followed everybody. Because that's what you do. You don't
Yeah.
do that apparently. Also we take topic suggestions on our Discord. So if you
Yes.
have a good or bad suggestion, we won't judge.
Yeah.
Throw
We
it
won't
up there
judge.
and we'll talk about it.
We'll probably block you and ban you, but it's all right.
Yes.
It's just,
But we'll
I'm
take your
kidding.
suggestion
I'm
and you
kidding.
I
can
haven't
tune
been
in
blocked or
on the
banned
Twitch.
yet.
Not yet. Just wait.
Not yet.
Yeah, after this episode.
Right.
People are like,
You
oh my.
suck, Larian. I'm just kidding. No,
People are
Larian's
gonna be
great.
like, oh my god, they need to stop talking. Okay, let's stop
Yeah,
talking now.
we are over. Let's go. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye bye.